Ladies and gentlemen, now I would like to invite you all for the highlight and one of the most important sessions called Leaders Talk. In this session, distinguished speakers need no introduction, will put forth their views and thoughts on the changing dynamics of the digital environment in the country today. For our first session in this category, we have Dr. Devi Prasad Shetty, Chairman and Executive Director, Narayana Health, and joining him is Mr. Arun, Seth, Trustee, Nasscom Foundation and Independent Director on the board of Narayana Health and Additional Director, Cyber Media. Dr. Devi Prasad Shetty is the Chairman of Narayana Health and also an Executive Director. He's a cardiac surgeon with around 34 years of experience. After completing his MBBS from the University of Mysore in 1978, he registered with the Karnataka Medical Council next year. Thereafter, in 1982, he received a master's degree in surgery from the University of Mysore itself. In 2009, he was granted a fellowship from the Royal College of Surgeons of England. He founded Narayana Health in the year 2000. He is the recipient of a number of awards and honors, most noteworthy being the coveted Padma Shri and the coveted Padma Bhushan in 2003 and 2012 respectively, conferred by the Government of India, and the Raj Yotsava Award in 2002 conferred by the Government of Karnataka. He also received the Outstanding Social Entrepreneurship Award by the Confederation of Indian Industry in 2005, the President's Award by the American College of Cardiology in 2011, and the Economic Times Entrepreneur of the Year in 2012. Further, he's received the Indian of the Year Award in 2012 by CNNIBN and the Lifetime Achievement Award by the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry. Mr. Arun Seth holds a bachelor's degree in engineering from the Indian Institute of Technology, Kanpur, and a master's in business administration from IIM Kolkata. He has worked for the BT Group in India in a variety of positions for over 17 years and retired in July 2012. Currently, Arun is on the board of Jubilant Foodworks Limited, Cadista Holdings Inc., Centum Learning Limited, Usha Breco Limited, and Samtel Avionics Limited, and also Cyber Media. He's also a trustee of the Nasscom Foundation, which drives corporate social responsibility initiatives for the IT industry. Over to you.
Morning, everybody. I think everybody knows Dr. Devi Shetty. There's no need to talk more about him. So let's get straight into today's discussion, Devi. Even when the second wave was not there, when the first wave was there, I remember you saying there is going to be a second wave and nobody believed you. Now we are expecting the third wave. What's your view? I mean, it's coming across the world. I'm sitting and talking to you from America, and people are expecting things here even, and other countries. How do we manage it? Is really the question to you, and what's your thoughts around it?
First of all, Arun, it's very difficult for anyone to predict how the third wave is going to be, but it is likely that we are gradually, the pandemic is becoming like an endemic disease, like malaria and H1N1 and SARS and all kinds of diseases we have. So we may not see the kind of a peak what we used to see in the past. It may not be a peak like in the past because people are all infected or vaccinated or exposed to the virus. But as I said, we should be mentally prepared for a peak which is 30% more than the second wave. But my gut feeling is that it may not happen. But COVID is not going to go away, at least for a few more years, that's for sure. So we have to accept to live with the COVID. And the question is how we are going to live with the COVID. And I can tell you that we only talk about the bad things, what COVID has done, but there are a lot of good things have happened because of the COVID also. I'll give you one example, Arun. 20 years ago, sitting in my office, I was seeing patients in Tripura, in Bankura, and all kinds of remote places. People have never even heard of those places, sitting in my office with the ISRO-sponsored satellite.
I remember that.
Yeah, nobody knew what internet was, forget about the cloud. And that time, I started convincing the government that telemedicine is the future, and we are one of the privileged countries in the world. I think we are only one of the first 5 countries in the world who had the capability to put the satellite on the space. We had a dish antenna on our rooftop, which was connected to all those places. So we are privileged. So this is going to be the reality, and we have to legalize telemedicine where doctors should be empowered to do it. It took a lot of scheduling, convincing of 20 years of effort. Nothing happened. I saw 53,000 heart patients, Arun, online, and treated them, saved so many lives, but it was illegal.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, then came the COVID, and in 2 weeks, telemedicine became a reality. It was legalized. So like this, many COVID has brought forward so many scientific developments, at least 10 years, 20 years before what would have taken in the traditional route. COVID on the whole has turned our world upside down, and it's not going to be the same in the future.
No, that's absolutely correct, Devi. Everybody else talks all the negative things about COVID. You're the first person I know who's saying, what are the positives that's come out? And would you see this audience that is out here today is the top leaders of IT across India and the world. So what would you tell them from the medical profession? What should they be doing? What should they be looking? I mean, one of the things that I can look for, I'm sitting in the US talking to you. In this country, for example, 20% of the GDP goes to health. Our country, India, cannot afford that. So can IT use this momentum to, let's say, move our spend from 2% to 5% and get the same outcome as the US gets at 20%? Is that feasible?
Arun, my prediction is that within the next few years, maybe 5 years, 7 years, maybe 10 years, India will become the first country in the world to dissociate healthcare from affluence.
Good.
India will prove to the world that the wealth of the nation has nothing to do with the quality of healthcare its citizens can enjoy. It is going to happen. It is going to happen because Indians, genetically, most of the young Indians, they make very good doctors. You look at US, some of the top doctors who people respect, and in England, many countries, doctors, India has created a brand for the doctors, nurses. And when this is supported by technology, in which we are already at the forefront, I can tell you that within the next 5 years, smart software will make smarter diagnosis than doctors. Within the next 7 years, it will become legally mandatory for the doctors to get the second opinion from this software before starting the treatment. It's going to happen. I can tell you it's going to happen in 2 to 3 years' time, but I don't want my colleagues to shoot me down. So I'm just keep on postponing this target. So essentially, technology will change everything. Why it is important? Arun, we have conquered, today we are talking about going to moon, going to Mars and going all over the world. But there is a human body and we know very little about it. We know very, very little about it. So the most complex area for the engineers and the innovators to conquer and make life better for the people is the human body. So more technological intervention happens on the human body, and what is required, that will dramatically transform the way healthcare is delivered. And also it will reduce the cost of healthcare. It will address the accessibility, and more than anything else, technology, once we remove the paper and pen from the hands of doctors, nurses, and technicians, the mortality, morbidity inside the hospital will go down significantly because there cannot be, there won't be medical errors. So on the whole, only technology can dramatically transform healthcare. And we are the right country for that transformation to happen.
No, you're absolutely spot on. So it's like the IT industry 30 years ago proved initially by sending people out, the companies like TCS, HCL, initially. It's now all around products and remote working. So do you think, like India is the center for IT, can we be the medical carers for the world?
I have absolutely no doubt, Arun, because we started our activity in Cayman Island. We started a hospital in Cayman Island. As a board member, you know what we do. I don't need to explain. So essentially, there are great opportunities for Indian healthcare providers in Western Hemisphere, and also it's not just because of our people are willing to travel outside and offer healthcare and whatever. The whole this one is it's all about our attitude. Attitude is no American doctor would like to work outside America. No British doctor wants to work outside England. But Indian doctor at a young age, they are willing to work anywhere, initially as long as they can get knowledge. And they will go to any place in the world to acquire the knowledge and become better doctors. And once they get the knowledge, of course, they will be happy to live in a country for some time to broaden their horizon, also earn a little bit more money. But eventually, most of them do want to come back. So we are a kind of a group of people who are willing to work with other healthcare systems in other parts of the world, and which is supported by a very good technology platform which we are able to create. It's a fantastic combination because all over the world, healthcare is in distress. Okay, we may say that America is spending 18%, 20% of GDP on healthcare. Question is how long they are going to sustain that cost. If the cost today in this world, Arun, we spend more money on healthcare to keep ourselves healthy from diseases than the quantum of money we spend for buying the food. If the cost of healthcare is more than the cost of food, which every family spends, there is something wrong somewhere.
Agreed.
It can't go on.
No, you're absolutely right. Let me move to another question. As India, as even we found out in the pandemics, in the first wave, we had to import PPE. We didn't have the capacity, medical devices. We were so dependent. But I think this is a phenomenal opportunity to completely upend the way medical devices are designed and produced so that we can actually make it affordable for not only for India, but for the world. Is this something that you think, what are the few thoughts? Because, the audience here is going to be very technically oriented, and everybody is very conscious of health thanks to the pandemic. That's the other thing that's happened out of the pandemic. We are all very conscious. Can we use this opportunity to become self-sufficient? Not just self-sufficient, can we be the factory for producing good medical devices which are modern in nature, using software and technology? What are your thoughts, and what are some examples that you would suggest?
See, the first of all, technologists have to understand that there are few fundamental shift has happened in the technology. The first thing is, Arun, when you convert the atoms into bytes, the cost of everything changes. I'll give an example. If I have 1 kilo of rice, I give you half a kilo of rice. Half a kilo of my rice is lost. I lost what I have. Whereas if I have developed an extremely modern electronic medical record, which can get the patient data from wherever they are, which we have developed, as you know, Arun.
Atma.
Yeah, Atma and Meda. Right. And now I can technically afford to give it to anybody. They will have exactly what I have, and I haven't lost what I have. So when you convert atoms into bytes, amazing things happen. So technically speaking, if you look at the world as a market and we come up with the outstanding product, even if they pay you a tiny, tiny amount of money for every transaction, you have enough money to build a global empire of medical technology.
Wow.
It is possible. The second thing, what has happened, Arun, I remember I used the echo machine in a guy's hospital about 40 years ago. I think about 40 years ago. When echo machine was turned on, the whole hospital came to know that the echo is getting done because of the sound, because the moving parts inside that machine. It was making horrible noise. Today, the echo machine is nothing but a laptop with one transducer. What they have done is, when you replace the moving parts with the printed circuit boards driven by software, cost of that machine can go down to any level. What drives the outcome is a software. It is not the cost of PCB or anything else. So in all these areas, we have a supreme knowledge. And it's a matter of someone putting those pieces together. It's a very fascinating country, Arun. It reminds me of my little daughter. When my daughter was a very little girl, 5-year-old, she was very good at jigsaw puzzle. And when one day when I entered the house, there were jigsaw puzzle pieces all over the world, all over the floor. And she was sitting there and looking at it. And I looked at it. I said, honey, you can't do it. And she gave me one look and said, Dad, I can do it. Then I said, it is very difficult. Then she said, Dad, all the pieces are there. This is what India is.
Good.
We have all the pieces. Someone has to put it together, Arun. And I believe someone is going to put it together.
No, that's absolutely amazing that we are talking of this opportunity that lies ahead of us. So any other thoughts for this great audience which will be there, full of technology people from India and others? I mean, I know you gave us a message of hope, but what are the 3 things, not more than 3, please, that they should look as opportunities?
Many things, Arun. I mean, the first thing is, we have to look at what is important for the working class and poor. I'm mainly talking about developing country point of view. Any business strategy now revolving around rich people is going to be very hard, as always, because the customers are very little. Whereas if you look at the common man of the country, whatever service they need and whatever service which will address their pain points, you may not make money in the short term, but long term, you're always going to be the leader. So I would like them to concentrate on the needs of the working class and the poor, mainly in the area of healthcare, education, food,
livelihood.
shelter. Yeah, these areas. The second thing is, all these the intellectuals who are gathered, I would like them to think, analyze why this country is still struggling compared to our neighbors. The main reason, Arun, education is the only way out of poverty. You can only educate yourself out of poverty. Education is not, it is about the skill. It is not just about the knowledge. Knowledge, you can get it from the internet. It's about the skill. And unfortunately in India, after the 10th standard, almost all the children are dependent on the parents for paying for the education. Because of that, 75% of the kids of this country cannot get education. We should create an alternative route for education, for nursing, for medicine, for engineering, and all kinds of skilled jobs. by creating a stream where they work in the respective industry and they get paid a small amount of money and they get educated. And over a period of, instead of becoming a nurse at the end of 3 years, she may take 6 years. But she is eventually going to become a nurse and she is not paid for the education by the parents. Unless we remove the parent paying factor from education, this country will never become a developed country. I can bet on it.
This sounds like the old apprenticeship model.
Exactly, exactly. I'll give one example, Arun. I'll give you one example. Why the young girls from villages are not joining nursing? Because the cost of nursing education is over 2 to 3 lakh rupees. How many parents, generally, if the parents have 3 children, the third daughter, when she is about to join the nursing college, parents are past the age of 50. And only, as you know, only 7%, 8% of the country's population have an organized job. All the others are in informal sector. They sell the manual labor and earn money. At the age of 50, they have no market value. Now, if they have to shell out 2 lakh rupees of their saving, they're not going to do it. They can't. Now, if this girl joins a hospital like ours, and I'm allowed to conduct a A&M training program for 2 years, auxiliary nursing midwife. I'm not allowed to. Only government hospitals can allow. Only government hospitals are allowed to conduct A&M courses. If I'm allowed, I'll take 100 girls as A&Ms. First year, I'll pay for their education. Second year, I will not only pay for the education, I'll pay them some stipend to take care of their family also. At the end of 2 years, they become A&M. Then we hire them. Then we include them in the GNM training program. That's a 3-year course. She works in the hospital for 6 to 7 hours. Then she attends classes for 1 or 2 hours. The rest of the classes are online. At the end of 3 years, 4 years, she gets a GNM. Then if she wants to do BSc, she can continue. So I'm happy to pay for the education, provided she works in the hospital. Today, they are not allowed.
Yeah.
So we have to relook at the education where parent paying factor is not there. 10th standard onwards, children should earn money to pay for their education, and there should be a means to go there to become a civil engineer. If the 10th standard students are taken by all the big construction companies and they are made to work, but at the same time, they are trained.
Yeah.
Okay. Then at the end of 5 years, 6 years, having worked in the construction industry, they also become civil engineers.
They'll probably be better engineers than what we are.
Exactly. So we have to remove this parental factor, Arun. Once we do that, I can tell you that we will have fantastic skilled people.
Wonderful, Devi. No, thank you very much. I think, considering that COVID has been so, debilitating effectively with people not going out and negatives, your message to this audience of positivity and looking at all the positives that have come out. There have been negatives, sure, but at the end, the positives is what's going to make us ahead. So thank you so much, Devi. This has been fascinating. Absolutely. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
For this.
Thank you, esteemed speaker, for this great, thoughtful, and insightful session.